Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Irresistible Attraction seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which after playing a unit, we will steal a unit from our opponent's side of the board with the same amount of power. Today we are using a powerful deck using a faction we have not used in this event, so let's go take a look at the deck. So today we'll be playing a Syndicate Congregate deck that is very similar to the Skellige deck that we used last time, in that it is also based on playing low base power cards that are very difficult for your opponents to play unless they also happen to be playing a low base power deck, and then we have those units with damage deploy abilities, which means if your opponent is playing cards with a more standard amount of base power, like 4, 5, or 6, then we can still steal those cards even with our small base power cards. So that means we have lots of stuff like Crownsplitter Thug for 3 base power, and in this case, we're stealing cards that have 6 base power. Ransackers, taking out stuff that has 5 base power, or at least stealing it, I should say. In this case, Kikimore Warrior converts cards that have lower than 3 base power into more cards that have 3 base power. And in this case, spawn in 2 base power cards, so we're flooding our rows even more. Steal 4 base power cards, or if you have a bunch of coins, which to be honest, we don't really use much in the way of coins, then you could deal 3 damage here and steal 6 base power cards. Steal 4 base power cards, and that's basically the general idea, is with all of those bronzes, we are just stealing lots of stuff and keeping all of our cards on low power so that it is very difficult for our opponent to steal our cards back. Then we have a few other options in case our opponent does happen to play something that is too big for us to steal it. Most notably, things like Eyck and also Geralt. And then, to a certain extent, we can use Tainted Ale to either destroy a card, or more likely weaken it so that it now becomes something that we can steal with one of our other bronze units. This is also a great way to start a round because it's not a unit, so even if you're on blue coin, your opponent doesn't have anything that they can steal immediately, which is a nice little reversal, because usually being on red coin is preferable in this event, and that's a way to mitigate that. Then, as for finishers, we have 2 main directions we can go in, those being Regis, because we have so much damage on our various units, we might be able to line up a 1, 2, 3, 4 base power card all in the same row on our opponent's side, and that means we could deal a lot of damage to all of those units. Then on the other end, depending on what round you're in, it varies a little bit, but generally speaking, St. Gregory benefits from having a lot of cards on our side of the board, and that is generally what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a lot of those low power cards, and with our leader ability, we can get even more of those on the board. And so in the case of round 1, that means getting a huge number of boosts on St. Gregory. So in that case, okay, he's the one card that's going to be pretty big. Still, hopefully, big enough that it is very difficult for our opponents to steal him. And then if you have already won a round, then rather than boosting, he is dealing damage, and then you can use his fee ability. Again, we don't have much in the way of coins, so for the most part, you're going to be activating the Insanity, and that's actually the whole point of using St. Gregory in his second version, his evolved form. And once you trigger that Berserk 1, you will boost all of your Firesworn cards and deal damage to all of your enemy units. So in that way, even though at 5 base power, he would normally be fairly easy for your opponents to steal, as soon as you play him, you're going to use that fee ability until you activate the Berserk 1 and ultimately destroy St. Gregory. So he's still a finisher because that will boost some of your units and potentially bring them into range for your opponent to steal some of them, but the total value you're getting out of that is still quite high. So if that is your final play, your opponent has no way to answer it, then it's a great way to finish the round. And even if you don't have last say, still a solid choice nonetheless. So that's pretty much all there is to it, other than Wolf School Trio, which is also at 3 power and worth 9 points, so just a bit of a point slam as well. And a Rico, another potential solution if your opponent plays something that is a lot of power and is otherwise difficult for you to steal. Just bear in mind that if you do this, you're changing the whole dynamic of the round, where it could suddenly turn into a tug of war over a few really high power cards. That is not really the type of game you want to be playing with this deck, so be careful. You'll want to keep things down in the 3-ish power range, not the whatever you might be reaching for with Rico range. But with that being said, let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. And so we do have 2 of our Wolf School Trio members here, so let's dump one of them. And outside of that, this may work. We have Regis as one big finisher that we might want to save for round 3. Geralt in case they have a really big card. Oneiro can give us a little bit more flexibility as well. Might get a little bit greedy here though and see if we can find one other slightly bigger card. Or, no, we'll settle. We'll settle. Okay. So, to lead things off here, I think we'll go Eternal Fire Disciple, because 3 base power could be a little tricky for our opponent to match that, and also, we can also spawn in a 2 base power Zealot over there, so very unlikely they could steal both. Also get Best Boy out from our deck. Okay, but they do have the Light Cavalry, so that will steal something. Well, it's not going to deal any damage, because that would have hit the Disciple, but they still the Disciple. Okay, so now we can steal one of these guys with a number of 3 base power cards, largely just a matter of which one we'd like to do, or we could even wolf pack on the Cavalry and steal that. So, a lot of flexibility there. They cannot use the order ability on the fee ability on the Disciple, because they don't have any coins at the moment, so I think we prioritize going after you. And I guess that means it's going to be a wolf pack. I do like how wolf pack is particularly good against 4 base power cards, which is usually pretty common for Nilfgaard, but we will see if they continue to play the 3 base power cards, or if they have more 4 base power cards that they have yet to use. Alright, it's a coup, which will steal Best Boy when they do this. They'll hit our wolf pack. So now we could go... We could hit you and steal you. Might be what we go for here. And then we might get you back, because you'll be on 1 power when we use Oneiromancy, which we will probably do at some point. Okay, it's a Brothans that will steal 3. Fortunately for us, it is the weaker of the 2 3-power cards that we have. Emissary gets Brothans up to an 11. We do have a Geralt, and this is in large part what he's here for, is destroying big cards that are out of stealing range. So that is probably what we'll do here, and Geralt is a 3-point body himself, so we will steal one of these 3s in the process as well, so that is pretty useful. And we do have an Eyck we could break out later on, so even if they do have other big cards they're going to play in the future, we have at least one other answer for those. So let's do this. Get Best Boy back. Okay, it's a Slave Infantry. They're going to turn that into 5 as well, which is still in range for the Ransackers. Would have kind of liked to have gotten that Disciple back on our side too, but I suppose we can settle for this. So let's go for that, and I think we're not going to want to row stack any more than we have already here. Now granted, we might steal this Ransackers too, but that's fine. Either way, yep, that is what ends up happening. That works too. Okay, and now we are in Adrenaline range for Vesemir, so we can do that on our next turn. We've yet to use our stratagem, and we can actually get the damage from the Cavalry here, which means Vesemir likely will be able to steal something. Okay, but the Infiltrator destroys you, and therefore comes back. Still not enough points for them to catch us, and they still have 3. So I think we are still looking at Vesemir. We also might want to use Oneiro in this round so we get the echoed copy later. And St. Gregory, I might prefer him in round 1. He is pretty huge. He is pretty much our only big point slam that we would be playing, in which case, probably a good thing that we have Rico in case they try to steal him. We can then steal him back. Maybe they play Rico, we respond with Rico of our own. But let's get the thinning on this occasion and steal you. They'll go Surrender. That's pretty strong. We have a lot of cards stacked up in that row, and as I was saying, that's why I was a little reluctant to row stack as much as we were starting to do. I mean, we had a ton of cards in both rows, I suppose. But I could now steal back one of these ones if we were to use Oneiro, and as I said, we get the echoed copy in a later round, so that's not a terrible thing. And I might prefer a round 1 version of St. Gregory. There is some risk they could turn right around and steal him, or they might lock and then Phantom Bar if they have him. If they do steal him, though, then we can go Rico. So I think we might still take our chances on that now. Especially if we go Gregory. big boost, and we could even, I mean, this is asking for a Geralt. This is absolutely asking for a Geralt. But they've already played their coup, so we know they're not going to be able to do that on our Geralts, and it means that they can't Rico, is the reason why I did that. So that means we'll win round 1 here. Okay, and we did play one more card than our opponent in round 1, so we'll probably just look to drive past here. Do have Regis, that is a big finisher we'll probably look at to use at the end of round 3. 2 tutors now, so that can help us with, what? Getting maybe an Eyck or Tainted Ale is a good round starter. To go unitless, Rico is a little bit risky against Nilfgaard, because, I mean, on one hand, we can counter if they play something really big. On the other hand, it's not really what we want to focus on doing. Doing it once, okay, fine, but we want to, for the most part, be playing in and around 3 power with stuff like this. So I think we will still drive past here. They'll go Rot Toss, okay, that's 5 and some poison. So that potentially gives us a little more information about their deck. And of course, that's enough for them to win round 2. Okay, so I am thinking we'll probably go Nero into Tainted Ale at the beginning. That way we're going unitless, and that can make it really difficult for them to match us, or to steal things from us and whatnot, and give us time to respond, and Tainted Ale can help set up stealing for us. Then Eternal Fire Disciple might once again be one of the early plays for us. This can steal a 6, this can steal a 4, steal a 3, steal a whatever. Damage to finish. Also, bit of a finishing move there at the end of the round when there's lots of stuff. Okay, I mean, we might have been able to switch out another bronze to get something for, what, 5 is sort of the awkward number for us right now. Hoakim. So he's obviously going to make something big, and they are going to coup to get him replayed. So we could Rico and steal. That's tempting. If we do that, they're probably going to Imposter Philippe, I would imagine. I would think they'd probably do that. I mean, they're very likely to coup Hoakim on their next turn, and then they're going to get another big card. I mean, it's Philippe's 6 base power, so it's probably not going to be quite as big as a 14. And stealing Philippe would be useful. It's just, I am very wary of that, because if they do use leader ability on it, I guess we could Eyck, which could be our World Decree target. They might still have enough time to mess with him, but I guess we'll take our chances there. This could backfire. This could definitely backfire. So I would argue leader ability is definitely the right play here, or I guess a tall removal card like a Geralt if they have one. But I'm kind of expecting, or it could be Rico of their own. Could be coup on Hoakim and just pray that they get a 14 power card from that. Yeah, there it is. I think that is the right play. You're actually not at 9. Ooh, that's a problem. Okay, there's the most predictable coup. For second Hoakim. And in this case, Dame combines well with Philippe, of course. This will get bigger, so this... This could, of course, become the target for Eyck. Problem with that, we could use Oneiro to weaken this Philippe and get him all the way down to a 2, or stop a little bit earlier, get him down to a 4, right? This comes in increments of 2. Yeah, so we can get him down to a 4 and then steal him once he's at 4 using Mutant Killer. And then Thirsty Dame, although she will get bigger, it's not super time sensitive unless they put out a defender, because Eyck should still be able to answer. So I think that means it's going to be Oneiro now with Tainted Ale. I think this is still workable. We'll also steal this Hoakim, which we actually don't really want. Okay, so I think we're going to wait. Let's not mess with this Philippe until our next turn where we can line it up exactly on the number we want to have that Philippe on. Okay, Emir, once again, a card that will set up the Thirsty Dame. They play another Thirsty Dame. Ooh. Okay, hold on. That gets a little bit trickier. So, our plan is Tainted Ale plus Mutant Killer to steal you. Then, next turn, assuming... Or, well, actually, we will already be on... You'll get up to 6 when we play something because Emir will apply spying. I'd like for you to be on 6, then we could steal you immediately with Crownsplitter on our next turn, but they might apply statuses of their own. Maybe they're relying entirely on Philippe to do that. Let's make this happen. But there is the spying happening there. And yeah, the extra charge of Tainted Ale might be a difference maker there. We'll have to see. The Emir, if we could steal that, that also wouldn't be bad, of course. But yeah, right now, actually, we could do that with the Crownsplitter on you. At which point, they might not have much setup remaining for this Thirsty Dame anymore. Okay, Vadier. Right now, can only steal this Joachim, which they could already steal with Emir if they really wanted to. So, let's see. We could also give you Doomed, which doesn't really matter. We could lock you. None of that makes a huge difference. Okay, so I was thinking this would be the turn in which we use Crownsplitter Thug to get you. Although, actually, it's a 50-50 chance of either getting you or you, unless we weaken you down to a 1 with Tainted Ale, in which case you're definitely not going to get stolen on this turn. We could potentially steal you with a special with Royal Decree, or remove you with Stammelford's Tremors, though it gives more time for Thirsty Dame to do her thing. That's actually tough. It's a little bit tempting. That was not what I was originally planning. This might backfire. But now I'm relying on this Philippe surviving on our side of the board for one more turn so we can lock that Thirsty Dame. So that might be our most reliable way to shut you down. Unless, I mean, she could still get boosted by 1 on their next turn. We could still see with this Crownsplitter Thug. Okay, Master Disguise. We do have a locked unit. So, we can lock you. Then you're not really much of a threat anymore. It does, however, mean we aren't really doing much with you. And we do have some engines, technically speaking, with the 2 of you. And we haven't really had much of any time to play them. We would have preferred to play them as early as possible. So maybe we sneak one of them in so we can buy ourselves a little bit of time. If we lock you, and then, I'm not even sure, we might poison you? We might just lock you next? We might lock you next? But I guess we do this. It is going to boost you up, because this is going to gain a status. We'll steal that Joachim back. I actually liked how we had a 2 or 3, and if they stole that Joachim, they're going to have a 1 there as well, which was potentially going to line up a Regis. And that might still end up happening, but we'll see. Okay, Duchess's Informant, that's going to mean a lot of statuses, but now that's only affecting you, and we are still... We need to be relatively quick with our Eyck, because he does not have Zeal, but any boosts on you, assuming we do pull off Eyck, shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so I actually think what we do is we go Crownsplitter Thug to steal you now. And that means we have an Order to Spare on Philippe. I think this Emir may very well be setting up a Terra Nova. What if Significance? Have they gotten with that spying? Probably Joachim, to be honest. Does that he starts with Disloyal, although we have stolen some back, which technically might still mean they've given spying to Joachim, so I think they can still do that. So I think we do this, then we go and steal you. Otherwise, it'd be kind of nice to get the warrior out here, but let's do this. Let's do that to steal. Okay, we're technically gonna end up stealing you. You're still on cooldown. Alright, fair enough. They actually do have a coin. When did they get that? Okay, teleportation to replay you, which means you can steal 4 or settle for. They're going to try to steal Philippe, which they can't guarantee. They actually have a lot of 3 power cards here, so this is not that likely, but it is possible. I assume that's what they're going for, which means they shouldn't hit Philippe. They should have hit anyone other than Philippe. Unless they have a 2 power card that's going to steal Philippe on this turn, or they have 2 damage they're going to get somewhere. Alright, anyways, let's lock Emir now. They do now have a 1 on this row. We'd kind of like for them to steal this Philippe and put it on that row, and then Regis is looking much better in that case. But now we can do this, and so either this is Eyck turn or this is Kikimore Warrior turn. Technically, Kikimore Warrior we would like to do first, so we have at least some time to benefit from that, and we are going to steal one of their 3s. They have a few. We'd actually like for this to stay, again, for Eyck, or rather, Regis reasons, but alas, I have jinxed it. Okay, oh, they're purifying Emir. Okay. I mean, they don't have devotion, so they can only use that once. They use it on Joachim. We are very likely that we will steal one of those back right now, in fact, using Royal Decree. Let's... We'll have just enough time if we want to remove you with poison. Otherwise, we will have enough time to lock somebody who is not currently with any statuses, or we could immediately lock you. That's not really a factor. You're not going to be an engine for them in all likelihood. Could lock you, but again, we're planning to remove you. So I think we are probably going to poison. Let's do that. Right, technically, we're about to get a 1 power card here, which would have been preferable to have gone for, but here's Eyck. So Eyck is here to remove this Thirsty Dame. We don't know if their last play is going to be able to remove Eyck. It is possible. It is possible. They've given Spine to enough cards, including Eyck. Ooh, that's not going to do the trick, though. We are already in the lead, so we don't even need to use Regis in this row here. We don't need to destroy Joachim with the Kikimore Warrior. Don't need to use Eyck to remove any of that stuff. We are already good, and so they will forfeit. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Alright, so let's put Best Boy back into our deck, and let's just double check how many the Wolf School Trio. We have just 1, so we're good there. We have plenty of ways to steal 4 base power cards, which Nilfgaard does do fairly often. Not Love and Imprisonment, because that's going to shut down Eyck, unless we can bait that out. He is pretty much the only... Well, I mean, Kikimore Warrior does also have vulnerability, as does the Eternal Fire Disciple, so we might be able to bait it out before we actually need to play Eyck, but we shall see. That might be... I mean, you can make a case for either trying to use Kikimore Warrior early or not using Kikimore Warrior early for those reasons. Use that for just a little more stealing, because given how we have these guys who may not be doing much in round 1, want to make sure we still have some steal ability here. Let's lead off with the Tainted Ale, though, because then we're going unitless. Should make it, well, it's impossible for them to steal anything from us here. And this helps us to set up some stealing on their units, if needed. Alright, Sheilard, which doesn't really do much. It's 2 damage on Sheilard. On Wolf School Trio, honestly, that might be the best one he could have hit as well. Obviously, we had a bunch of 3 power cards, but that means we could still steal Sheilard here if we'd like to. It might set up a coup on Sheilard if they'd like, but I mean, that's also not going to do that much. So I think it's probably still the direction we choose to go in here. Yeah. Alright, they're locking, or they're locking, and then stealing. That Ransackers. So they have at least some 3 base power cards here. You do have 1 armor, which actually means we could steal you with Wolfpack if we really wanted to, although that may not be the direction we'd like to go in here, because I think this could be a decent opportunity for us to go with a Kikimore Warrior, so we don't need to deal damage to steal something on this occasion, and Kikimore Warrior does not have any damage. Right, they're going to poison, which is not terribly effective on this occasion, especially because we could just destroy something with this Kikimore Warrior to create another one, and that other one is going to be the one that has the active order ability, so this one's not going to be that relevant anymore. So, once again, so they might be a dedicated 3 base power deck, which could make this a much more interesting encounter. I mean, outside of Sheilard, of course. But I think it could be another Kikimore Warrior. It could be. But I was kind of eyeing Wolfpack, because then we could, consume the Wolfpack and gain 1 extra point that way. And if they don't have 4 base power cards, then that might still be preferable. So let's see. Whatever we hit here, we're going to steal. Just can't be you. So let's go for, I guess, you. And then we will do that. Get another Kikimore Warrior, and now doesn't matter that this one. I mean, if they don't destroy this with poison on this turn, we will consume it. But no, they will. Okay. Expected, and that is 4 base power card. So yeah, we could go Wolfpack here once again. And steal you. Or you, if we wanted to, but it's worth a little bit more. Damn it. Well, I mean, either way, we're getting a 2 base power card on our side of the board and stealing one of their units. So let's eat you, in case they wanted to do some more poisony stuff. Alright, they're gonna Vilga Force that, I mean, I guess. They might get something with a decent deployability here out, though. That would be unfortunate. No, that's actually not bad. I mean, we don't have anything in the way of coins right now, but if we did, this would be an engine that would actually be kind of useful. Do we still have something that can hit you? We could if we Oneiroed into a Ransackers. Not really sure that's necessary, but we could. Otherwise, you still have 3s. So we could get our other Kikimore Warrior out here, steal something in the process. That's probably preferable. We also have yet to use the Tainted Ale damage at all, which we should probably do. Let's not steal Vilga Forts, just because I don't really want that to get crewed. Let's just do this directly. Steal you, I guess that's fine. And I guess we're still going to hold off on these then. Wait until they play something that is a little bit bigger. Or we could damage you, drop you down to 1, and then get the thinning from Wolf School Trio. Unfortunately, no Wolf School Trio thinning in round 1. But either way, I mean, we do get the round 1 win nonetheless, even without stratagem and without any of the value from Tainted Ale. I mean, it was still a unitless turn 1, which was useful in its own way. Okay, though, now we do run the risk of drawing into other members of the Wolf School Trio. So, probably would prefer to dump Eskel, I'm thinking. And if we are going to use a member of the Wolf School Trio, we'd like for it to be a 3 base power version. That way we have some chance of actually stealing when we play from hand, and we'll just end up summoning you out. Okay. Outside of that, we did play one more card than our opponent in round 1, so I think we will probably just dry pass here. And we have 2 forms of Tall Rule. They did not really show much of anything in the way of tall cards in round 1, so these we might need to be mindful. Might choose to mulligan one of those in round 3. Let's leave it at this for now. We'll see what we can learn from what they play here, though. I mean, they aren't going to play something that's higher than 9, one would assume. Okay, it's Master Disguise. That is a 4, which is worth noting. Okay, so because they're Imprisonment, I'm thinking we may just need to dump Eyck. Yes, he might steal a 3 base power unit, but that's just about all he can do here, because as soon as we play him, he's going to immediately get answered with their leader ability, I would have to imagine. So I think we dump you. You're a good starter, so that's not bad. We did draw into another one of the Wolf School Trio, so we should dump you. Alright, it's Blightmaker, which is a 4, and okay, it is still, even though we don't have any units on the board, a Mage Assassin, so I kind of like the looks of that right now. It's not quite there yet, but there's the makings of a Regis play there. So, let's see. I still think we're probably starting with Disciple. It is a bit of an engine. It's a 3, which, I mean, they did show they have some 3s. We'll steal you. We'll summon a 2, which, I mean, they are unlikely to be able to steal all this stuff in one turn. If they don't steal you, then we can spawn in another 2. Granted, treason's pretty effective. Okay. So, now let's see. Yes, we can drop you down to a 1, which does make you stealable with Oneiro. Actually, what is Oneiro going to be to get? Ooh. Just something to steal, pretty much. Which we could do right now, in fact. Could do, even a Royal Decree, which will steal the 1. No, there is not a 1 at the moment. Not yet. Use it to get a Mutant Killer. Yeah, which would then drop you to 3. We steal 3 for 3. Guess we do that. So again, we're not really believing much in Eyck in this specific encounter, this specific matchup. Sorry, Eyck. Right, Mage Torturer. There's a lot of spying going on here. Between the treason and the Mage Torturer, I'm feeling as if there is going to be a Terra Nova coming our way in the not-so-distant future. We may be able to steal you back. If we wait for you to get boosted once, we could steal you with this Thug. Otherwise, we could rush a little bit into an Oneiro, and a Ransackers could steal you right now. But that feels like that might be unnecessary. Rico, we'd like to save for if/when you play something really big. But there is always the risk that we play him and then they turn right around and steal it with a 5 of their own. Which it's not that uncommon, of course, to have a 5. So, that reason, I don't love that. Could steal back with St. Gregory, but that's also something we'd like to save. So tell you what, I think it actually is going to end up being this. Though it does seem a little bit rushed. Okay, Mage Assassin directly from hand. I actually want them to steal this one base power Blightmaker with the bug that comes from playing a special card, because that would mean that we could set at least some grow up for Regis. Otherwise, might be relying on Crownsplitter Thug hitting something that is bigger than, or basically hitting a 4 and dropping it down to 1. At this stage, crazy as it sounds, we might be about to play Rico. I think we are probably about to play Rico. It steals 2, which is honestly about as good as it gets in this situation. Let's not walk into Rico, or rather into a Regis of our own. Any more than we have to, at least. Because, yeah, there is some risk for Rico, especially against Nilfgaard in particular, where if you play something big, they might have Rico of their own and turn right around and steal it back, and that is probably a losing situation for us where we want to keep things small. So, rare situation where a low Rico is actually beneficial in many cases. You. So, I know I was saying we probably wanted to use you to set up a Regis. But at the same time, stealing Philippe with Crownsplitter Thug is really tempting. Because we have so many 3 base power cards, it's not exactly the easiest thing for them to get Philippe back, and in all likelihood, I would imagine they would just turn around and have to use a leader ability charge to lock and remove him, otherwise they'd be concerned about him suddenly completely backfiring on them. So, I think we just do this. I think we do. I think this is still okay. I'm eyeing the 1, 2, and 3 in this row, so if they had a way to use our Regis from our hand, then that could backfire, but they are not double-crossed, so I'm not too worried about that happening. And so they will forfeit, and we will take the win. So there's a look at a Syndicate deck for the new Irresistible Attraction seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. And take a look at our Irresistible Attraction playlist to see previous decks that we've used in this event as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.